today we're going to be talking about fun, like light-hearted topics. Yeah, just get to know us, the way we think,
who we are.
Yeah,
cool.
Things like that. Okay.
Yeah. So Anita, you have 2 other siblings, right?
Yes.
And you're the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
How was it growing up as like the youngest?
For me, it was fun. For them, it wasn't.
Same. I have one brother. He's older than me, so I'm also the youngest.
Oh, you're the youngest.
The thing is, I'm obviously from a Muslim Indian family, and girls are always spoiled. And the fact that I was the youngest, and on my dad's side, I'm the only granddaughter, so I was spoiled, rotten.
Okay.
How was it for you?
I was a spoiled brat, but I wasn't a nice spoiled brat.
Oh.
I always got my way when my siblings wanted something. Like if we go to town, because we lived in a very small town. Mm-hmm. When we would go to town once a month, payday, we'd want to like get KFC or something like that. It's like always a thing. But my parents wouldn't, like sometimes they'll wait for us to ask. But then my sister would ask, I'm hungry, can we get some KFC? And then my parents were like, no, there's no money for that. And then she'll
nudge you. Yeah. It's always like, you ask. They'll say yes if you ask.
And then I'll be like, I want to ask that. And then she says, ask that. And then I ask and they go, okay.
Okay, we'll do it.
And they always, I don't know why, they knew I was a skinnerback, okay? They knew I was going to tell them. But they would come to me with all of their secrets. And then they go, don't tell mom, okay? And then I'm like, okay. And then they'll tell me their secret and I'll be like, okay, cool. Mom!
Instantly. You didn't even wait for it to
No, I just fucking went for it.
Oh my goodness.
No, they hated me so much.
So do you have a brother or sisters? Or
I have a brother and a sister.
Okay. And what's the age gap?
Not that much. I think my sister's she's 4 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, she's 4 years older, and then my brother is 6 years older. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My brother's 2 years older than me, but we were really close because it was just the two of us. Oh. So yeah.
That's nice. Must be nice. My sister and I fighted. Like we fought
Yeah, we did fight. Like our fights got really physical, but I mean, it's those, that saying on TikTok or on social media where it's like, you can't borrow my charger, but I'll kill someone for you. That was us, like I'll fight with him, but if anyone else messed with him, it was game over for him, Yeah, both of us coming for him.
That's nice. Yeah, I don't know, my sister and I, we were close for like maybe a year.
Yeah.
But then as she grew older, she like a little bit hated me because I was annoying her always. When she would go out to her friends and I didn't have like plans of my own, I would always like barge in and go, I'm coming. And she'd be like, I'm not coming. Mom. And then my mom's like, take your sister with you. And then she's so mad and rude and mean. But we fought like crazy.
Yeah. I think it was also the age gap between you guys. It's not big, but it's...
Yeah.
When she's in her teenage years wanting to go out, she was still...
Yeah, but they made it so easy for me because they were like pushovers. And I was like, I was a bitch.
Really?
I don't know, hold back. I used to make my sister cry on the daily.
Oh my goodness.
And then I'll get annoyed. And I'll be like, stop fucking crying. You're the older one. Why are you crying? And then, you're so mean to me. And then I'll ignore her.
And how was your brother? Day. Like when you guys were fighting, where was he? Or was he just like a boy? Like, I'm not getting involved.
He was like in and out of the house. Mm-hmm. Like he lived with my aunt more than he lived with us.
Okay.
So, but when he got there, me and him really didn't fight, but we really didn't really know each other that well.
Yeah.
But he would also come to me and be like, I'm smoking. I'm like, fucking idiot. Mom! Mom, he's smoking! Yeah. They were both like later in primary school. Mm-hmm. They were like the senior, and then I was like grade 2, grade 1. Yeah. And then my sister was bullied like a lot.
Aww.
And I didn't stand for that shit. So now I'm like this teeny weeny grade 1 girl going, I am black stuff. You don't touch my sister. You don't talk shit about her.
That's so cute though that you're defending her.
But then she'll go, you're making it worse. Just leave it. I don't ask for your help, and then I'll be so sad.
Yeah.
I stuck up for you.
Yeah. I was telling you, making it worse.
Yeah. And then they never stuck up for me. Like, they would be like, sort out your own shit.
It's your problem,
left me. To this day, it's like I was supposed to be the oldest kid. Yeah.
Everyone thought that I was an only kid because I was growing up, I was like that outgoing, outspoken kid. You know, I always had something to say. I was always involved.
Yeah.
I was in people's faces, and my brother was a little bit more reserved and quiet. So when I tell people, like, even it happened last week at work where they said, no, Lamees is an only child. This is why she's like that. And I was like, no, I have a brother. But it's because he's so quiet. And even going out as a kid, I never went out alone. My brother was always not supervising, but it was like, he's my brother, he's coming with. If I was invited to a party, I never asked, but my parents would be like, he's going with, and I'll be like, okay, cool. You know, I was so used to it because he was always in the background, he was always quiet. He was there, but not putting himself out there. So people didn't even realize that he was at the parties with me or that he was at events with me, but he was always there. But yeah, I think that's why we get along so well, because he gives me the spotlight. He's like, you go for it. You run the conversation. When we get visitors and my parents were not there, he'd be like, Lamees, and he'll just sit there. So people don't realize that I have a brother because he's so withdrawn.
Yeah, he's so like hidden.
Yeah.
I went through a phase like later primary school, earlier high school, where I got very shy. And if I couldn't, for the life of me, if I didn't know you, I would sit there and try so hard to think of how to start a conversation with you. I won't be able to. Yeah. And even if you try and start a conversation with me, I would struggle to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to like socialize with people a lot. And then when I started dating Nathan, I would visit there, but I'll tell you that story another day. But when we would sit in the living room, and then everyone's like eating and talking, and then his mom would go like, "Where's Anita?" And I'm like, "You're so quiet. We didn't even know about you." That was me.
I was the type that fed off other people's personalities. So in high school, I went to a high school where we had over 1,000 kids. So it was so hard to stick out. And I love the attention on me. Yeah. So I became friends with people with loud personalities so that I could feed off of them. Because instead of being with friends who are quiet, they'd probably be like, oh, why is she so loud? Or Lamees, you're too much. So I put myself in that situation where I'd be like, let's be friends. If I saw someone that was really funny, outgoing, that was involved in everything as like motivation for me.
Yes.
And when I left high school and now they're gone to this university and I was gone to a different one, it was like, oh, no, what? I had like a complete identity crisis because I was like, I can't feed off of anyone because I didn't know anyone at varsity. And then I just went shy and I realized, you know what? You did it all by yourself. And I just convinced myself, you did it yourself. Be who you are. So as much as I am awkward and I am very shy, I still try my best to talk and put myself out there.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because when I first met you, you were like you like the Minnie Mouse. And
Hi. It was, and that was like literally the first few years where I moved here. And again, I was like, who do I feed off of? If I'm alone with, then I'm outgoing and I'm loud, you know, and I'm friendly and I'm saying hi to everyone. But then when I'm with someone who's reserved, then I'm also like, okay, let's be reserved.
Okay.
So it's really hard for me to find the balance and be like, Lamees, just stick to this personality. You are outgoing, be outgoing constantly.
Yeah. But it also depends on the environment, the vibe that you're going with.
Yeah.
Because I get these I'm so list to just socialize, and I get those moods.
Yes, you get those moods where you want to go out and be with people.
Yeah, but then when you get there, it's not like a vibe, and then you struggle to keep it up.
Yeah,
and then you get days when you just like not list for it, and then when you get there, everyone's like, "Yay,
vibing,
hey," and then I'm like, "Okay,
me too."
I was always the odd one out in my family. And it got to a point where I didn't want to be the same as anyone in my family. If they were fans of the Sharks, I'd be like, ew,
You want to be
different.
different.
Yeah. And then, but I didn't even watch rugby. I just went out of my way to be so different to everyone else. And I was the only blonde one. I was the only one with green eyes. I was the only, I don't know, I look different than everyone else
so
as
you
well.
wanted to be.
Yeah. So I didn't want to blend. I just wanted to be.
My brother's like that though. Like he will be the complete opposite. Obviously, we were hardcore rugby supporters. Whenever the Lions played, because we were from Joburg, we would go to every single game. And front and center, we had the kids in our South African or Lion flags or whatever. And whoever they versed, my brother supported them. He did not want to support Lions. My mom's from Durban, so she loved the Sharks. But if it was like Lions versus Stormers or Blue Bulls, we were Lions. But as soon as the Sharks played, then we hopped over to Sharks because we liked the Sharks.
Yeah.
But even like with soccer, like my dad is Man United, my brother will be Liverpool. Or we support South Africa in the World Cup, my brother will support New Zealand. Like he's always the opposite.
Yeah.
And he wants that rival. And if he wins, he will not shut up about it. And he'll be like, yeah, well, I don't know, he'll just brag. But the minute he seems losing, he's such a sore loser that he'll sit there. And if you say like, oh, sorry, the referee was paid or something, he'll say, no, they weren't. Or he'll say, yeah, they paid the referee. It's rigged.
That's something I can't deal with. If we are playing a game, I just want to have fun.
Yes.
I don't want to be serious about it. And then with our kids, hey anymore. Like I have this inkling, like, oh, let's be fun, let's do something together. And then Kevin doesn't like losing. He'll be so mad and mean, and he'll cry, or he'll refuse to do anything just because he lost. So when we play pool or anything like that, I just oops.
I'm the type where we play games and I'll be like, no, it's just for shits and giggles. We're not taking it seriously. But inside, I'm so competitive. I'm like, I'm going to win. But I don't want to show that I'm serious, because if I do lose, I don't want it. Like, if people tease me, I don't want it to be like, show it on my face. But I am. Inside, I'm like, oh, God. Outside, I'm like, oh, guys, it's fine. It's just shits and giggles. Whoops, whatever. But if I miss a shot, I'll be like, oh, well. But inside, I'm like, how dare you do that? How could you do that?
I don't care if I win or lose. I just want to do good at whatever I try.
Yeah.
So the minute I see, like, I lost my mojo with something, I get annoyed.
Yeah.
Because especially if it's something I enjoy.
Yes.
Because the moment I don't do good at it, I don't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
Just stupid.
Which is normal though, because why would you do something that you're bad at?
Yeah, but you go through, like, say you're playing darts, okay? And you don't know shit. Okay, so now you start playing darts, and every time you aim better and it sticks better, and like your throw is more on point. I don't even know if that's the right term for darts or whatever.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you go and it goes shwing, and you can't figure out why the fuck it happens. That annoys me. What is your strangest irrational fear?
The dark.
The dark?
Yeah. I know so many people are scared of the dark, but I just feel like there's ghosts. And one day I'm really scared of the dark. That's why when I was telling you the story earlier, I said the night light stays on my side of the bed, because I'll wake up randomly in the middle of the night, and the room will be too dark for me, and then I'll just put it on and like look around and make sure there's no ghost flying around. But I don't know. I just feel like there's things in the dark that live there. Like it's a breeding ground for ghosts. So I don't know, but I'm really shit scared of the dark.
Okay.
Yours?
I think my most irrational fear is the wind.
The wind?
The wind.
So last night you were on edge completely.
I almost died. I was never scared of anything weather related, but then we had that one storm. It was 2018. It was
Okay.
It was like a really bad storm, but it was like crazy winds with hail and thunder.
Oh, yeah, I saw a lot of people spoke about that. Their windows and cars and everything got damaged.
It was horrible.
How was it here?
It was horrible. I used to have this thing where if the kids were naughty, and there were signs of a storm coming, I'd be like, Sakabula, it's coming for you.
It's coming.
It's mad at you now. And then they would believe me. But that day, Nathan and I had a tiff, and then so it was like we were irritated with each other. And the kids were naughty again. They were fighting and going batshit. And I was like, Sakabula, just go look outside. You'll see the clouds.
And really, the clouds were coming in.
I was stirring the pot. I was making pasta, so I had a fork, and the lightning was a bit weird, like for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then as I was like stirring it, just saw a flash, and then I shocked through that fork. I threw the fork.
Wait, the lightning hit you?
It hit somewhere outside, and I don't know how, but I was also standing barefoot, so I don't know really how it works. But I felt the shock, and it was like blinding. And then I felt it. I threw the thing, and then you hear the kata.
Yeah.
So I was like confused. Like, what the fuck happened now? And
yo, that's scary.
That was horrible. So yeah, it just came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it was like you can't hear shit. You can only hear like the hail and stuff slamming on the windows, and the way the wind and the thunder. And when we looked outside. But I just sat like this. I was like, can't, panicked.
Yeah.
I was out, and I was never scared of any weather, like related things. When we looked outside, we had a step about this high, and it was like up to the door with solid ice, with how much hail had accumulated, and then it just solidified. And it was still raining and everything. But I didn't realize immediately that I had like I developed like a stupid fear for wind since then. And I never ever threatened my kids with a sakabula again because I was like, no, just now.
But the storms here, like on the plus or whatever you want to call it, are so much worse than city storms. I've never, not even storms, just weather in general. I've never, living in Joburg, we would have rain and like hailstorms, but it's nothing compared to what I've experienced here. It is scary, and you have a right, or like it makes sense why you're scared of weather here.
But it irritates me because I used to enjoy it. Like, it's so annoying sitting outside or even like sitting here, and then all of a sudden a gust of wind comes, and then before even realizing it's happening, I've already panicked, and then I can't, like, literally I feel the numbness running from my tongue downwards, and it gets like ice cold. And
but I can relate. Last year it did snow. I don't know if it was last year or the year before when it snowed in Joburg, and I was in Joburg at that time, and I was like, oh yay, snow, It was fun. It was snow. You could see it was snow, but it didn't accumulate too much. Last year when it snowed here, I had just put up my carport. It wasn't even a month. And it was 5 o'clock. They first called us the night before to say it's snowing, and it's snowing. Come and see. And we said it will never happen here, so let's drive. And it's only 10 kilometers from here, so we took a drive that night at 11 o'clock, and we saw the snow, and it was quite like the grass was covered, but it wasn't knee deep or whatever. And we came back and we slept and everything. 5 o'clock that morning, Rameez and my parents were here. And my brother was here, and Rameez and I were sleeping, and our bedroom is like right by the carport, so the carport is like blocking our window, and we just hear this, but it was such a loud bang that both Rameez and I were like sleeping, and we both went up, and I grabbed him here, and he grabbed me, and he was like, what happened? And we see this bright light shining through our blinds, and when I opened it, I was like, it's snowing outside, and he goes, really? And I'm like, I looked down and I realized, crap, how can I see? The carport landed on my car.
No.
And I was crapping my pants because I was so excited, and then my heart just sank because my car is underneath, and like, okay, I'm not going to wake my parents up. Let's go back to sleep. And I'm laying and I'm like, my heart is beating so fast because I'm like, how am I going to tell my dad? Like, I still have that fear of my parents, you know, how am I going to tell my dad? How are we going to sort this carpet up? I just paid for it, you know, everything. And I just couldn't sleep. And then half an hour or 15 minutes later, I went to my parents' room and I told they were like, what was that noise? And I said, no, my carpet fell. And my mom woke up and she's like, you lie. And I'm like, no, it did fall. And she's like, you must call the guy and tell him he did a crappy job. And I'm like, no. And I opened the window and it was like knee deep snow. Oh. And it was, as much as it was exciting, I said, okay, you know what? Screw the carpet. This is a once in a lifetime situation. And I told my mom, get dressed. We're going to play in the snow. But now, whenever, like this week, we had predictions for snow. Yeah. And my heart's already, I'm like, I'm not parking my new car underneath. I'm not doing anything. But yeah, I understand because that fear now, whenever they say snow, I'm like,
your heart sinks. You're like, no, not again.
Not again.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the 4 kids, how how many kids did you want when you were younger? Like, you know, when you and Nathan were still in love and you were asking each other, how many kids do you want to have? What was your answer?
I always knew I wanted to be a mom. But I never really planned on having like many kids.
Yeah.
We always said 1.
Okay.
So the first one was planned. And then life happened.
3 times.
Yeah. We had kids very young. I was 17 when we got married. It was about 6 months later, found out I was pregnant.
Sure. So you were young.
Yeah. And on my 18th birthday, I was still pregnant. And like 2 weeks later, Carl was born.
Sure.
And I remember when we got married, the people at the venue were like so judgmental.
Yeah, because you're so young. Yeah. You're getting married. And are you sure you're not Muslim now?
Maybe in a previous life, I don't know. But I remember the lady in the reception when we were checking in. I said to the lady, we're here to check in for the wedding. And she's like, oh, who's getting married? And I said, we are. And she's an Afrikaans lady, so yeah, she's very Swiss. She's like, but she was old. And she's like, still kids. And I said, and so she wasn't happy. But yeah, then we heard a lot of we had a lot of backlash for being together in the first place. Like everyone thought Nathan was the devil and no one liked, but he was just very naughty. That's it. He was like a very.
But Nathan is cool. Yeah, like, he's like those cool guys. You know, like a jock type of thing.
Yes, he was a joker. So he liked to pull pranks and stuff at school. He got into trouble so many times. Before we even met, I think the first memory I have of Nathan was this teacher that she came and she grabbed his jersey, his school jersey, like from behind.
Yeah.
But she was a doers also. No one liked her. But anyways, because he and his girlfriend at the time, well, they weren't together anymore, but she was like pissed that they were not together anymore. She was like, no. And then Nathan lost it and he tuned her shit. And then the teacher came and she grabbed him from on his jersey. And his reaction was what the fuck, okay? And then he got like a year's detention in advance for that, and he had to apologize in front of the school.
Detention.
And then when I got to know him, I was like, "What happened there?" And he said, "No,
reflex.
He heard his jersey tear, and when he heard that, he lost it, and it was like." So I was mad because my parents had to buy me a new jersey.
Oh, shit.
So yeah.
Growing up, I never wanted kids. I was just like, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to travel. I won't have time for kids. But as I got older, my dad is one of 2.
Yeah.
So it was just him and his brother growing up. And he had lost his brother. We were very young in 2011. And then we realized my dad has no one now. No, my dad's dad passed away when my dad was 12 years old. So it was his whole life was my dad, his brother, and his mom. And then my dad's brother passed away. And then it was just my dad and his mom. And then I realized, oh, he's so lonely, like he doesn't have family. And my mom, on the other hand, is one of 6.
Oh.
And then I realized they always, if you need something, someone amongst the 6 is always going to help you.
Yeah.
Or if you need someone to talk to, there's always someone available,
Yeah.
And I watched my dad, so strong, but I watched him go through life as the only child, and he always said if he knew what he knew now, he would always have more kids, because my parents also always wanted more kids, but people scared them with finances. Kids are expensive. You don't know what your life's going to be like in 10 years' time, blah, blah. But till now, they say they regret not having more kids. They wish they had more.
Yeah.
And like I said, getting older once I got married, and family became such a it was always a big thing for me, my family, because we're so close. But I think the fact that I moved away from them, it's like, family is so big for me. Yeah. So now I'm like, I want to have a lot of kids,
How many kids do you want?
Like 5 to 7.
5 to 7. You gotta pay your money for that one.
So yeah.
Okay. So are you guys like getting started on that? When do you want to start having kids?
I was hoping I would have already had by now.
Have you started trying?
Yes, we have. It's all in God's timing, so it's in God's hands.
Yes, everything happens for a reason.
Yes, yeah.
It's a journey.
It is.
It's a journey.
But there's a lot that have happened in between, like when we decided, okay, let's start having kids, till now, where we're like, okay, luckily we don't have kids, because we had to experience this first, and we started questioning, like, why are we not getting a kid, and then we realized, no, there's certain things we need to go through in life first, and then we'll be like, okay, when we have a kid and we experience this, we've been there, we know how to handle the situation. Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
But right now we're just enjoying life with the 2 of us, which is amazing. Our honeymoon stage, I feel, it's just starting this year. Okay. The first few years of marriage were rough. Like, I left my family, I left my life behind, from the city to the plus. It's like it was really, really, really hard for me. But now it was a huge adjustment. I think for someone from the farm to move to the city, it would have been easier. But for me, because I was always so busy, I had a job, I was studying, I was constantly with my family.
Yeah.
Like, my parents and I, we would lay in the same bed, watch TV until the 2 of them were sleeping, and then I would go to my room, And now it's like, I miss that, like small stupid things. Yeah. Where, like, if I see a cow, I'm like, oh, Mom, and my mom's not here to say, look, a cow, Mom, Small things. We were really close as a family. And like I said, the first few years were rough for me. I think I even went through a depression. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to go anywhere. I lost my personality now. I just went through depression. I lost my personality, who I am, my sense of style. Like, everything was I was just no one. I was just floating around, living each day as it comes, And now I'm, like I said, it's the honeymoon stage. We're happy. I'm finding myself again. I'm finding a balance with going to see my family, seeing his family, putting myself first, things that I'm interested in, like this. Yeah. I always loved social media, and I used to do videos and make, like you guys, make content. And even though I had like 200 followers, I enjoyed that. Even if I got like 1 like, I'd be like, yay. Yeah. And I just stopped. I don't know. I feel like I let myself go. I was just like, what's the point? My family's not here. No one's going to see it. And now I am slowly coming out of that. Lamees has helped me quite a bit. Bless him for staying with me and sticking through that whole depression stage. But yeah, I feel like I said, we're on honeymoon now. It's like the honeymoon stage just began.
A delay. I'm happy that you're starting to get back to feeling like yourself, because I know it's like the worst feeling in the world to like sit and think, oh, I don't even feel like myself. Yeah. You don't know who you are. You don't know your surroundings, and it must have been like a big shock.
It was, and everyone asked me like, how is it moving over there? And I used to tell them I hate it. And I used to cry every time I say like, why? And I said, my family. I think the most important thing is my family.
Mm.
If my family was here, it would have been a little bit easier of an adjustment.
Yes.
But I have no one. And I always tell Rameez, like, if we got into a little bit of a tiff or a fight, I tell him, you have someone to go to. You know, like, you
Yes.
have your mom, you have your brothers, everyone here. I'm like, no one. And it didn't help that I didn't have friends. So I didn't have anyone to talk to. And if I ever spoke to my parents, you know how they are, they're like so protective. They're like, just come home. Leave the marriage and come home. Yeah, so and once I started getting a job, then I started interacting with people more and mixing, and that's how I became friends with the first person in our girls group, and she introduced me to the rest of you guys. So yeah, now I'm fine now.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Yeah, it's good, but it's a shitty thing to go through something like that, but you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And like by the end of it, you realize I had to go through this in order to get here.
Yeah. How did you find it moving here?
The first time, I loved it. It was the best thing ever. I was like, I'm home. I'm gonna tell him, because I never loved where I grew up. And when we moved to Natal the first time, we were poor as fuck, but I was home. I felt home. I felt everything was nice. Everyone was nice. When we got here, we drove into a ditch. We were like new.
Yeah.
Okay? So we drove into a ditch because we were driving on the pavement. I have so many stories to tell you. We were driving on the pavement, and you know where we took the photos?
Mm-hmm.
There was like a drain hole.
Okay. And it was open.
And the grass was like very long.
Okay.
So we didn't know it was there. And then we drove into it. So the bucky was like 3 wheels in the air and one in the drain hole. And I remember like a taxi stopped like a bit further down the road. And people were like rushing to us, and I was scared, like petrified.
Oh, you thought you were getting robbed or something?
Yeah, I was like crying. And then it was just like this poor old gentleman. I was like, can we help you? And I was like,
that's so sweet.
so bad now.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved like this side so much.
Yeah.
But the second time we came back, I wasn't happy because the circumstances were a bit shit. It was COVID. And we went through a whole thing. So, but now it's nice. I like it.
If you got an opportunity to move to the city, would you take it?
Depends. It would really have to be good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if it's like something with somewhere with like a great school. Yeah, has done. But if it doesn't, then might as well stay here.
Yeah, I would take any opportunity to go back to Joburg. Like, go back home. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, to me, Joburg is home. For me, this living here, it's just for now. Even though, like, Rameez and them have their business here, and I know it's his business, you know? We're not moving anytime soon, but my heart can't accept.
Yes, it's like a divorce.
This is home. Yeah,
you just keep wishing. Oh,
yeah. But I would, like you said, if you got the right opportunity that would help us financially move and whatever, I would take it within a heartbeat. I would leave you and I'd miss you and stuff, but I'd come and visit. But yeah,
it's okay. I can accept it. We will make it work.
We'll make it work.
I understand, like in a sense, because I've seen with Nathan, him being so far away from his parents and not being able to see them as much. For me, it's not like a big deal because I've always been used to being out of the house, being away from my parents, being on my own, doing my own thing. But for him, like he gets sad, especially like Christmas and things like that. Yeah, so I can imagine, like with you, being so used to having that blanket of that security blanket with your parents, with all the support and stuff like that. Yeah, I can imagine.
And I can't even explain how close we are. I mean, we did everything together. When I went on VAC, you know it's VAC, right? So when you in matric and Rage hosts these like huge Rage festivals for the matriculants, and artists perform. It's just like a whole week in Durban, Cape Town. I think there's even a one on a cruise ship.
I'm klein dorpie.
Once you write your final exams, everyone goes to VAC. And I went not to VAC with my parents, but I went to Durban with my parents.
Yeah.
My brother and I, like I said, my brother went everywhere with me. My brother and I had our own place. My parents had our own place. And it just happened that they had a wedding that same weekend. So we were like, let's just go together. And my mom was like, but it's VAC. You're supposed to, it's kind of like celebrating your school.
Yes.
Like you finished, you wrote your final exams, people would drink, it was like a music festival that it only started at like 10 o'clock and it would finish 5 o'clock the next morning, and then everyone, or maybe, okay, let's say it would finish at like 3, then everyone would walk from I can't even remember where it was being hosted, but from there everyone would walk or Uber to the beach, and they would light fires and take blankets or whatever, and we'd sit there and watch the sunrise and party. You just party, and it was fun. So the fact that I went with my parents just shows like I don't know how to explain. We're so close. And then Lamees, because he's one of 3 boys, I think the circumstances are different. So he's close with his parents, but like if they went on holiday together, it was like, okay, they'd stay together, but then the boys would go off and the parents would be stuck behind, where with me, we would, if we had a holiday, we would write down the stuff, like where we stayed, we'll Google things to do, and I'd be like, okay, on Monday, we're waking up at 5 o'clock because we all going on a whale watching boats, and like we did every single thing together. If I went to the bathroom at the mall, like I'll tell my mom, come with me, and we'll go in the same stall together. Like we were so close, yeah. It does make a huge difference, because that's why I said if I got the opportunity to move to Joburg, I would. Because Lamees, he's not as close to his family like what I am, and he'll be okay. I'm not okay. Still now, I'm not okay. But we're really close. I don't know how to explain it. I don't think anyone understands how close we are.
But it's nice. It's nice to have that.
Yeah.
We were just like, your wings, motherfucker.
You're free.
We just did whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. Okay, so that was a little bit more about ourselves and getting to know us.
Yeah.
Hope you guys had fun. Yeah. See you next week.
See you next week.
Have fun. Bye.